Do you struggle to find time for the things that you're passionate about? Me too. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 ways you can carve out time for your hobbies or other things you care about. Hey, I'm Chris, an artist that goes by Hatefulcrawdad. A lot of us balance family and friends, a full-time job, and health, but we still want to make time for other things too, whether that's art, gardening, playing music, or something else. I can tell you that it is possible, but it's going to take some intentional planning, effort, and likely some trial and error. Before we get into that, let me show you the project I'm working on during this video. This painting mixes my love for typography with a playful, childlike vibe. It's part of a gift exchange with a bunch of other artists. By the end of this video, I'll reveal the final painting. Let's jump into the first way you can make more time for your art. The first thing you can do to claim back time is to prioritize and schedule what matters most. Before I had kids, it was easy to spend hours on a project. I'd stay up all night eating junk food, drinking energy drinks, and not getting any exercise. Once my wife and I had our first kid, the focal point of my life changed. I needed to be healthy. I needed to sleep. I needed to get exercise and stay strong. I prioritized my health to be there for her. My goals became about staying alive as long as possible so that I could pick up my little girl for as long as possible. It took some trial and error. Mornings at the gym didn't work because I wasn't getting enough sleep. Evenings didn't work because by that point I was too drained. What finally stuck was a midday gym break. I worked with my manager and made it a priority in my schedule. Later, when I wanted to create art more consistently, I realized I needed to treat it the same way. At this point, I switched to working out at 5 a.m. 5 days a week. I slept until 6:30 on the 2 rest days. That got me thinking, what if I got up at 5 a.m. on those 2 days and locked myself in the studio instead? How much could I get done? I ended up calling this time art workouts. I set a goal to paint 30 small paintings in a month. I didn't end up hitting the goal of 30, but I did get 14, and the momentum from that kept me going. As I find more ways to practice this in my life, I find myself thinking about why this works. Why can putting something on the calendar make it feel like I have more time? I think it's actually pretty simple. Most of the time we sit around telling ourselves, if I could figure out how to prioritize my schedule, I'd have more time. Instead, you should actually just fill your schedule with all the things. All of a sudden, those 1 or 2 hour blocks of sitting around scrolling on our phones will be filled with something we truly care about. Over time, those little scheduled activities become habits, and habits build your routine. Look for those times in your life where you can schedule a priority. I bet you'll be surprised how much you can get done. Here's where we're at with the project. The canvas is prepped, and the artwork is ready to transfer. I found this letter M in an old sign painting book that has tons of options from different eras, and the M just stood out to me. It really feels playful, but large and in charge, and like it's there, it has body, it's fun, it's moving, it gets work done. Those are all the kind of thoughts that came to my mind. So I made the character to be this big, playful sign painter, since this is going to a sign painter and like a pinstriper, and just kind of like riffed on that, and I really love how it turned out. Watch as I bring it to life. The second thing you can do to claim back time is to give yourself constraints. Constraints add excitement and focus to a project. For me, a great one was Inktober. The constraint was simple: 1 ink drawing a day in October with a simple prompt. I didn't think I'd finish all 31, but I did. Some days, the constraints forced me to be quick and resourceful. By the end of the month, I wanted more. Soon after, I got a message from the owner of Ramos Torres Winery. He had seen my drawings on Instagram and wanted to talk about making wine labels. Funny enough, one of the first things that got me back into art was a watercolor painting of a Ramos Torres wine bottle. These wine labels gave me focus throughout the rest of the year. At the beginning of the next year, I started noticing I was slipping back into old habits and not making time for art. That's where the art workouts I mentioned earlier came about in this timeline of events. Constraints work because they take away some of the endless number of decisions you could make. They force you to think creatively, and depending on the constraint, you can't even rely on previous skills or knowledge to get it done. Constraints can be time-bound, idea-bound, material-bound, or anything-bound really. Constraints come in all shapes and sizes. Lean into them and let them fuel your creative ideas, or give momentum to a project. It's even okay to make up constraints just to see what it does to your process or the finished result. Speaking of finished products, this painting is almost done. That character will be going on next. This part is so fun for me because I can let go of the precision of typography and let my inner child come out. It's such a fun mix of opposites for me. The third thing you can do to claim back more time is to break projects down into their smallest tasks possible. Big projects can feel overwhelming. For example, let's say you want to repaint a room and have no idea where to start and don't even have any tools. We can break that down into smaller steps. Research tools that are used for painting, make a list of tools that you need, compare the prices of tools and decide where to buy them or who to borrow them from, purchase or borrow the tools. Now, each task is bite-sized and actionable. You can chip away at them without feeling paralyzed by the big picture. This technique works for any goal or project, whether that be a fitness, learning, or reading goal. Years ago, I read an article that made a metaphor out of moving a pallet of bricks. Obviously, you couldn't move the entire pallet of bricks by yourself. Even if you broke that pallet down into boxes of 20 bricks, many people still couldn't lift that box. But how many of you could pick up a single brick? And even though it might take a while to move them brick by brick, it'll still get done. And really, you can count on the fact that every single brick will add up to the entire pallet. Alright, I'm done with the piece you've been watching me create throughout this video. The final piece is so much fun. I love the character, I love the M, I love how all the texture turned out. It was a really fun exploration, and I really hope that Matt enjoys it. I had so much fun bringing this mix of typography and playfulness to life. Let's recap. 3 ways to make more time for art or hobbies are: prioritize and schedule, embrace constraints, and break projects into smaller tasks. If you try any of these tips, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about how they're working for you. And hey, if you made it this far, why not join the Crawdad crew? You'll get occasional updates, offers, and freebies. No spam. The link is in the description. Until next time, happy creating.